Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums, and I have something fabulous to show you today. This is an iPad. Well, it's got many uses actually. It can be used to hold, and I'm sorry it's a weird view, but can't change the camera. It can hold your iPad. It can hold your phone. And it can hold a notepad. So when you're making projects, you can jot notes, print out notes, whatever you need to do, and read along with it. So this is made from some black chipboard and some lovely paper. Oops, let me grab the paper. The Bloom Where You're Planted lovely paper from Country Craft Creations. Now, I did use 2 sheets of the 12 by 12 paper as opposed to a couple of the 8 by 8. I've been using 8 by 8 for my other projects, but this one I needed the 12 by 12. So it's really simple. It's got this little shelf so things won't go far. You can adjust it. I made it this way so it can lay flat. When I'm traveling, I can just take it apart and put it in my drawer. It's got Velcro here to help hold it, and it's a little bit adjustable. I mean, you can move it up and down a little bit if you wanted to. So that is what we're making today. So let's get started. All right, so I have a piece of 12 by 12 chipboard. I am going to cut off 3.5 inches. So put it at 8.5 in my trimmer. That's the easiest way. And now take this piece that's left over, the 8.5 by 12, and cut it at 6. Okay. Now take this piece that's left over, and we're going to cut off 1/2 inch, 3 1/2-inch pieces. One, 2, 3. So we should have 10.5. So we're going to cut this. We're going to cut this at 5 1/4. So we have 2 5 1/4 inch pieces. All right, we're done with our cutting for now, at least cutting our chipboard. Now I've got a piece of cardstock that is 6 by 3 1/4. I just needed to be at least 6 by 2. It's bigger than I needed, but that's okay. I am going to score at 1.5. And we'll fold and burnish. And I want to glue this to the top or side or whatever. Glue it to one 6-inch side. There we go. Okay. Now we're done with that. Okay, so you're going to cut 2 pieces of pattern paper, 5 7/8 by 8 1/4. And you're going to adhere them to the front and back of this piece that we have the flap on. Yeah, I wrote the measurement so I remember that. So let's cover that with glue, and I want to make sure you cover the bottom third, like this area, real well with the glue. I want to make sure it adheres real good. Okay, so we're going to glue the paper onto here, paying attention to that bottom area, making sure that there is a good amount of adhesive there. All right, and let's do the back as well. Okay, so I measured up 2 inches from the bottom, and then I marked where the center line was, and this is 3 1/2. I want to make sure there's room on both sides. So I went over half of 3 1/2 is 175. So I went over 175 and then an extra 1/8 of an inch. So I am going to make making that wider. I'm going to make a line going from here to here with my X-Acto on that 2-inch line. See where my marks are so it's all straight. And again, it's important to have a good sharp X-Acto when you're doing this. Where does it end here? Yes. So, and then rather than going really deep one time, I'm going to go over it several times. Because we're going through the chipboard and a couple layers of paper. Turn it over, make sure it's gone through. Good. And then I'm going to do another line. Let me turn this over so I can see. Oh, about an 1/8 of an inch away from that last one, starting and stopping at the same spot. And then I'm going to cut at the edge. I'll go through both sides. There we go. So I have a little slit. I think I might take my nail file and just go through just to make sure it's smooth. So there we go. So there is one. Now let's take this and put this other one. So this folds that way. I'm going to put this here, but I want to make sure that it's just, you could get a piece of chipboard to measure, but I don't want it to be exactly on that, butted up against each other. I know I'm running out of glue, but still that's enough to hold it. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to butt it up, and then I'm going to back off a little bit. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so. And then we'll cover this with paper also. I love this pattern, it's pretty. Same with this one. Okay, let's let that dry, and let's move on to, so we have these two pieces. I want to glue them together. I want to change my containers when this is all empty. All right. Make sure they're stacked. I don't feel like they're stacked, but they are. All right, we're going to cover this with a piece of cardstock. I just want to make sure it's real strong, so we're just going to add a second layer of support to it. I'm going to use my spacers. I cut the cardstock 2 inches bigger than the pieces, so we can use that cover method. So I grabbed some score tape for some stability, and basically I'm just going to cover these 2 sheets once they're glued together, just like a cover for a mini album. So I'm going to put it on fast forward and we will get through this covering. Alright, so let's start on the long sides and add some glue. And then let's cover that up. So I just wanted the slightest amount of border around it. I couldn't tell you what the measurements were. Hold on a second and I'll look. But it depends on the thickness of your chipboard and that kind of thing, so you should just measure it yourself. It's not always going to be a static number. But mine is 3 3/8 by 5 1/16. I probably could have done 2/16 or 5 1/8. All right, there's one side. You know, I'm going to pull this down a little because it wasn't cut and there's more of a margin over here, but I'm going to cover that up. So now I have those 3 1/2-inch pieces that I cut before. They're 1/2 inch by 3 1/2. So I'm going to glue them together. Okay, I'll pinch them a little bit just to make sure they're gonna stay, and then I'm going to cover it with just a scrap. Now I'm going to add a little bit of score tape just so it holds real well. I know the glue would hold it, but this way I don't have to worry so much about drying time. I will put some glue on the side though. Push down. And then I'll add a little bit of score tape here. I'm adding glue to the side, and then I will wrap it. Now I have to take care of the ends, so I'm going to cut that down a lot. I never could wrap presents. Well, take that back. I could wrap presents. It wasn't always my most favorite thing to do. put some glue in here. Just gonna cut at the corners. I cut this one too short. Nope, it'll work. Now we have this one. So I'm going to fold in the sides. Come on. And then fold this over. And there we go. Okay, so it's just sort of a stopper. I'm going to add a little bit of score tape, but I'm also going to use glue to it. We'll do both, but don't put glue over the score tape. I mean, wherever you do, it's just not going to hold. So I'll put glue around the perimeter, the score tape's in the center, and that can go right here on the edge. All right, so we've got that. And we've got this. Now, if all goes well, this will fit in here. Yep, it does. So another thing I could have done, I realized this last night after I filmed, is attach this to this piece before I put the papers on. I already put the paper on here, so it was too late for that. But something else I had done for the first one I made a couple of months ago for myself is I added a little piece with some Velcro, because that way I can take it all apart and it will store flat when I travel. So that is what I'm going to do with this one. So I have a piece that's 1 3/4 by 3.5, and I'm just going to score with the short side at the top, 1/2 inch. And I'm going to add a little piece of paper on top of it. All right, and I have a little strip of scrap that I'm just going to use and put back there. It could have been wider, but that's okay. It's going to be on the underside. And then I put on the tab a piece of score tape, number one because I had it out, but number two because that way I don't have to wait for it to dry. You can use liquid adhesive. So here I've taken my little shelf and put it inside. I'm going to turn it on its side, and this is going to actually sit at a diagonal, and I want it to be up about 1.5 inches from the bottom. So I'm going to first of all I'm going to take some Velcro dots and glue it on the underside, and take their mates and put it on top. Okay, I'm going to fold my flap, actually put the flap down onto this piece. But even with the Velcro dots in this flap, you still can pull it out of here if you needed to. Okay, and then make sure it's straight and have it lining it up at the bottom here. And then I'm pushing the Velcro dots so it'll stay. Now I take it up, and the Velcro dots will help hold this, and you can put your phone, your iPad, or both. Well, I wouldn't put your phone and an iPad, but the other thing is, actually, if you go in, push this in a little more, it's sturdy. The other thing you can do is use it to put notes on. So if you're reading through your notes, you can put it on there. It's sort of above the mess of your desk. Notes and phone. So all sorts of things. How do you like it? Don't you love the pattern on here? I do. I think it's very pretty. I think it's a beautiful pattern. And again, you can take the Velcro dots and take the whole thing off and let it lay flat in your desk. So that is what I have for you today. Let me see if I can shrink it a little bit. For your iPad and phone stand. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is a series of different organizational things you can make for your desk, for your crafty workshop, or even just for in the kitchen or whatever. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous day.